Developing countries are nations with low per capita gross domestic product (GDP) that depends heavily on agriculture as their primary industry. Malaysia is also one of the developing countries. The Malaysian government has effectively succeeded in fulfilling the rising demand for infrastructure as well as making it accessible in less developed areas of the country. Besides, Maqasid Syariah also has a lot of contributions in the infrastructure in Malaysia. Maqasid Syariah consists of three aspects which are Daruriyah, Tahsiniyah and Hajiyah. So how does Maqasid Syariah contribute in the infrastructure development of a developing country?
Besides, I would like to talk about Maqasid Syariah, and I want to take the shopping mall as example of infrastructure development. So let's see how far the protection of intellect and the protection of religion was applied in the shopping mall development. So let's go. First and foremost, the protection of religion can be seen with the presence of prayer places for men and women, or we call it as musalla, in the shopping malls. By that, the Muslim people can perform their solah easily even though they are not at home. And the most interesting is with the existence of toilet too, it helps Muslim people to purify themselves from any dirty before they are going to perform solah. Furthermore, the protection of intellect can be shown by the presence of bookstores in the shopping malls. By that, many people, especially students, can buy many books such as Islamic books, scientific books, and many more for their studies. And actually, this can improve our intellect and preserve our mind from any disaster.
How does Islamic financial institution manage the people wealth in order to protect it according to Maqasid Syariah? So let's see from takaful perspective. From takaful perspective, we can see that takaful doesn't have prohibited elements such as maisir, gharar and riba. As we know, conventional and takaful, both of them want to assist people who are unfortunate and something bad happened to them. But unfortunately, the conventional one included some prohibited elements that leads to the establishment of takaful, which under tabarru'at based. Tabarru'at means donation. So all members can give a donation to assist members' losses. This can lead to a win-win situation, and there is no situation when where one win and one loss, and this can protect the wealth of both parties. As we know, we have a rahnu system where the creditor can give short-term financing to the debtor by pawning his or her jewelry to the banks as a security. The protection of wealth can be ensured by the settlement of the debt. And the creditor doesn't have to worry because the debtor must pay the debt because the creditor have valuable things from the debtor. All the protection that must be guarded in Maqasid Syariah are fulfilled in our rahnu system that the conventional pawnbroking doesn't have. So we can see from the protection of a debtor wealth. If a sale price exceeds the remaining debts, then the excess will be returned to the debtor.
So, how does Maqasid Syariah helps to develop education?
A study indicates that there is a direct relationship between educational infrastructure and school performance, and that by investing in educational facilities, it will lead to the improvement of quality of education and the economic performance of a country. Improving educational facilities is aligned with the Maqasid Syariah, which is the protection of intellect. Building infrastructures enable the citizens to acquire the intellectual skills to understand both the general knowledge fardu kifayah and religious knowledge fardu ain. We need to have religious knowledge to be able to appraise what is right and what is wrong towards the pleasure of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Hence, Schools, colleges, and universities are built across the country, both urban and rural areas. There are many religious schools nationwide, and religious study is part of curriculum in Malaysia. This also contributes to the protection of religion because it allows us to preserve and pass down the divine knowledge to younger generations. Education can directly improve the human capital. If the citizens are well equipped with new knowledges and skills, surely they will be more employable in the job market because they perform better at work. Skilled labor often earn higher wages, leading to better standards of living. Moreover, if the citizens are instilled with Islamic values, they can apply Islamic critical thinking process in developing the countries.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Danish and I will explain the challenges to protect the necessities daruriyat of Maqasid Syariah to sustain the water availability and sanitation due to the rapid economic development and infrastructure. So there are two aspects to look at. The first aspect is to protect the urban water security. Urban water security refers to finding water management and sanitation services in cities with high population due to urbanization. As we know, most of GDPs are produced in cities. Therefore, the scarcity of water will provoke a challenge to humanity's food, economy and ecological if not properly addressed. The next aspect is to protect the environmental water security. Environmental water security refers to the measures to protect the health and ecosystem of the environment. Most of the high production of GDP resulted in the exploitation of water resources such as the rivers due to the raging demands of consumers. Chemical substances are disposed illegally to the river. As a predominantly Muslim country, we are responsible to sustain the water availability and sanitation, where Islam emphasizes on the environment as it is under the Maqasid Shariah's preservation and protection. The measure to having an adequate supply of clean water and sanitation is to safeguard the protection of life and lineage. The first measure is to practice integrated water resources management, which promote the coordinate development and management of water resources to maximize the economic and social welfare. Investing in water management projects will create superior technologies for water management, especially in the urban area. The next measure is to move towards adequate, safe and affordable water services. Having a clean and hygiene water is important. Therefore, a constant water monitoring and regulation will preserve the quality of water for consumption. Furthermore, rainwater harvesting for water basin management will ensure a clean water supply for the society and socio-economic development.
How the integration of technology in the medical field in Malaysia align with Maqasid Syariah? Malaysia is among the countries that forge ahead in IR 4.0 in the medical sector. We can see the integration with smart technology used for certain diseases. Islam is supportive towards scientific research that brings benefit to humankind. It accepts the use of science and technology to facilitate better methods of true discovery as long as no violation and harmful regarding Islamic perspective. The main principles must align with Maqasid Syariah, which are to protect life and to protect human welfare regardless of any race, language and religion. How does Maqasid Syariah provide a solid base into the medical Islamic tourism in Malaysia? The objective of Maqasid Syariah framework are preservation of religion, life, intellect, progeny and wealth as parameters for developing Islamic tourism characteristics. All the categories are permissible as long as the main concern of travelling not contradicting with the Syariah principles. The solid base is not solely to attain pleasure, but as a bridge to achieve happiness in the hereafter. As we know, Malaysia has become popular as one of the leading countries for medical tourism. To attract Muslim tourists around the world, Malaysia has instituted Islamic rules such as provide the water spray, tayammum dust for prayer purposes, specialized place to take an ablution, services of weekend of forcible prayer, and many others. The best part that doctors, nurses, and patients apply Islamic moral value in their daily lives. Every morning, the recitation of dua through speakers can be heard throughout the hospitals. With generating wealth and profits earned from tourism, then the value of paid zakat will increase and the outcome will be used for distribution purposes to the needy and poor society in order to reduce the poverty gap in the community system for the public interest maslahah.
How does Maqasid Syariah contribute to the development of hospitals in Malaysia? There are many services that we found in hospitals, clinics and medical centers run by the government or the private sector. Health centers normally provide primary care and some basic treatment or first aid, and hospitals provide emergency, secondary and tertiary medical services. The aspect of a Sharia-compliant healthcare institution is the need to provide for the facilities, which includes accommodation as well as other facilities that assist the staff and patients to perform their daily ibadah. The most basic accommodation, especially for patients in the hospital, is the ward room. Some hospitals distinguish rooms based on the patient's needs and the social status of patients. The important criterion to be taken care of in the Muslim-friendly healthcare is privacy of every patient. Almost all the healthcare institutions in Malaysia separate the wardroom between male and female patients. But when the guardian or relative of patients from different gender having to visit the patient, it occurs less privacy. On the other hand, it is better to give signals when the nurse or physician with a different gender wants to enter the room by knocking on the door to ensure that the patient's privacy is preserved. Furthermore, another aspect is that hospitals should ensure adequate facilities for patients and also staff to perform their ibadah such as prayer and other obligations in comfort. They must provide ablution space in the toilet or musalla. The hospital has to provide prayer space, qibla signage, especially in the wardroom, and prayer outfit such as telekung and praying mat to perform prayer. Besides, it is also important to provide the manual guideline to pray, whether in the form of booklet or posters, to assist and encourage patients to perform solat based on their capabilities.
The central objective of Maqasid Syariah can be summarized as facilitation of ease and removal of hardship. So how does Maqasid Syariah contribute to the development of hospitals in developing countries? Speaking directly, as the COVID-19 cases are increasing rapidly, healthcare centers have been challenged by the overwhelming demands to provide treatment for COVID-19 patients, during which the supplies and facilities are in limited status. However, the higher quality of infrastructure at some hospitals can relieve the difficulty. To be specific, the COVID-19 patients in Sempurna Hospital Sabah were being transferred to Tawau Hospital for further treatment. This is in line with one of the Maqasid Syariah, which is the protection of life. Furthermore, the development of infrastructure in Malaysia to some extent can help to ease the burden of hospitals. This proves when International Islamic University Malaysia (IIUM) has taken the initiative to sue the personal protective equipment (PPE) for use of the frontline of health workers, as they were also having a shortage of PPE.
This is basically the sewing brigade for COVID-19. So we are here to produce the PPE suits and gowns for the use of our frontliners.
Those PPEs were then distributed to the district health centers, medical centers, clinics and hospitals such as our hospital, Likas Hospital and a lot more. This is also equivalent to the protection of life as well as the third goal of Sustainable Development Goals, which is to ensure healthy lives and well-being for all of all ages.
In conclusion, the Maqasid-based approach assists the development of Malaysia with fairness, honesty and accountability from a holistic and multi-dimensional perspective. The application Maqasid Syariah in the development of developing countries will not only ensure conformity with the worldview of Islam and its Syariah, but also facilitate the acceptability of those propositions and programs among the communities for which development packages are proposed.